Hello and welcome to Valerie and Valise, the YouTube channel that is entirely focused on helping you make the most of your time visiting Alaska. If you are tuning in live, thank you for joining me. If not, let me give you a rundown on what's happening. So you are tuned in to one of my Alaska seminar series for 2023. I've traveled to Alaska many times, actually grew up there, and I've traveled back many times in my life. And I write a ton about Alaska. So I have teamed up with some of my favorite destinations and the partners that I've worked with and know well and have great relationships with to give you a series of videos that are both accurate and up to date for how you can plan your trips in 2023. Now, as you can tell from your screen, we're focused on Sitka in this video. And I want to start out by doing a land acknowledgement because I believe it's important for us to acknowledge the Native Alaskan stewards who helped make this incredible land be preserved to the day that we are able to visit it. So I just want to acknowledge that Sitka is located on the traditional lands of the Kiksadi clan of the Tlingit people in Southeast Alaska. And if you visit Sitka, as you can see from this photo, you are going to see evidence of the Tlingit people throughout town, which is a really wonderful legacy. And want to just acknowledge and thank them for their stewardship since time immemorial, and encourage you when you visit Sitka to try and engage with some of that material. It's kind of hard to miss it, but you should definitely make it a purposeful intention to spend some time among the trees and the totems, or learn more about the history of Sitka before it became what we now call Sitka. In any case, I'm very excited to be joined for this video by Laurie, who works at Visit Sitka. I've met Laurie. We worked together when I came through Sitka. I've actually come through Sitka a lot in the last few years, which is amazing because it's quickly become one of my favorite places in Alaska. So I hope that after watching, you are just as excited to visit. Now, before Laurie takes over and gives us a bunch of info about Sitka, one last note. If you have any questions during the live stream, you can use the chat box, which is visible. If you're watching the replay, you can comment below this video, and I am monitoring those comments ongoing. And if I'm not able to answer the question myself based on my experience, I have Laurie's email and I can loop her in to make sure you get the information you need. Without further ado, then, I will hand it over to Laurie to tell us all about what's new and what you need to know to visit Sitka in 2023.
Great. Thank you, Valerie. Hi, everybody. A quick disclaimer. I am sitting at my desk and we do have an open office. So if you hear people or noises, it's because we're in a working office. And I also wanted to say that Visit Sitka acknowledges that we are on the ancestral homelands of the Tlingit people. And we express our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Tlingit people, for their care and protection of our lands. So thank you, everybody, for joining us and for learning about Sitka. I've been in Sitka for 3 years. I've moved here. I've lived in Alaska for more than 20 years. I've lived all different places across the state. And I have to say, Southeast Alaska is my favorite part of the state, just because to me, it feels like home when I'm in the Tongass National Forest. I'm in the forest. I'm amongst the trees and the animals and the birds. It just feels like home. And so that's why I love being in Southeast Alaska. So for those of you who don't know about Sitka, have never seen Sitka, there you go. That's downtown Sitka. You'll see towards the right-hand side, there's a little church spire sticking up. That's St. Michael's Cathedral, which is a Russian Orthodox church. It's a landmarked building, and that building, the original building was built in the the late 1800s. And then, unfortunately, it was that building and a part of downtown was destroyed in a fire in 1960, I want to say 62 or 64. And it was an exact replica was built. Luckily, all of the icons and everything that was inside the building, including the chandelier, everything was removed before the building was destroyed. So when you visit, you'll be able to use St. Michael's Cathedral kind of as a central point as to knowing you're in the core of downtown. We are right on the ocean. We're the only community on the open ocean in Southeast Alaska. So we have the ocean in front of us and the mountains behind us. Some of you may recognize this image a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember the Google ad about the man who was saving his memories about his wife, Loretta. It was if you saw it, it probably made you cry. It made everybody cry the first time they saw it. This is the image that they used in the Google ad when they talked about Loretta visiting Sitka. So on our next slide, let's talk a little bit more about where exactly is Sitka. So we are located, as I said, on the open ocean, the western side of Baranof Island. And you can see where we are in relationship to other Southeast communities. So Juneau, which is our state capital, which is a little north and east of us. And Glacier Bay is a little bit directly north of us. That's Glacier Bay and Gustavus. Skagway Haines is even farther north. And then as you head south, you hit Petersburg, Wrangell, Ketchikan, and way south is Seattle. We're actually located, it's a 2-hour jet flight directly from Seattle, and we are 3 hours from Anchorage. So we're really easy to get to. We have multiple daily flights on Alaska Airlines year-round. Delta joins us in the summer with a direct flight from Seattle. We also have other ways that you can move around and join us because we're only accessible by boat or plane. So Alaska Seaplanes is a Southeast-based company that uses float planes and small jets that connects a lot of the communities together, and you can move around Southeast Alaska through Alaska Seaplanes. Of course, there's the Alaska Marine Highway, which is the ferry system that leaves from Bellingham, Washington, runs all the way up through the Inside Passage, then over to the South Central area. The dotted line here shows you where the ferry goes. But of course, you can also access us by private charter boats. We have yachts, sailboats, and private planes. So if you have one of those things, you can definitely access us via the water and the air. Valerie, did you have any questions about where is Sitka or how to get here?
I don't, as I've been there. But no, I think that pretty well covers it. Very helpful for people to see how Sitka is different because its geography is, as you said, on the open ocean, which I don't know if you're going to talk about weather, but are you planning, you're going to talk about weather? You want to lead into that?
Let's talk about weather now.
Okay.
So the weather in Sitka tends to be a lot more temperate than most of the rest of Southeast Alaska. Because we're on the open ocean, we are serviced by the warm Japanese currents. So we tend to stay a lot warmer and a lot less snow than other parts of Southeast Alaska. Our weather is comparable to, say, Seattle or Vancouver. So for example, right now it's in the 40s. And it's just stopped raining. We've had rain for probably the last 2 weeks, I want to say. But it's not rain like people think in the lower 48. It's more like this kind of heavy mist that just falls. And we very rarely get those heavy downpours like people get in the lower 48. And before we go on, I'm going to say, I'm probably going to end up using the term down south. So in Alaska, anything that's not in Alaska we call down south. So most people think of when they think of down south, they think below the Mason-Dixon line. But here I have to stop and think and say lower 48 because that's not a term we use up here. We use the term down south. So now when you come to Alaska, you can use the term down south, meaning anything outside of Alaska, and you will be hip to the Alaska lingo.
All right.
All right. As far as, let's talk about, as we continue to talk about weather, we'll talk about how to dress. We are in the Tongass National Forest. It is the largest temperate rainforest in North America, which means the key part of that statement is rainforest. We get lots of rain. Our southern neighbor, Ketchikan, measures their rain in feet, not inches. So when you come to Alaska, you need to bring sensible shoes as well as sensible waterproof shoes. You need to bring layers because even though it might be raining, what we consider rain, it could be really warm. So layers means you can, if you get a little warm underneath your waterproof outer layer, you can take some layers off. Or if it's a little chilly, you can put some layers on. And one thing that you will learn up here is that, at least in Southeast Alaska, we don't use umbrellas. So it's a dead giveaway if you're walking around in Southeast Alaska using an umbrella. So we just pull our hoods up and get out into the weather year round. I think that's it. Anything else about weather or dressing that you can think of, Laurie?
That's great advice. Very much in line with what I tell people to do. And if anyone has been to my site and seen my Alaska packing list, you know I don't have an umbrella on it because I don't think I own one. Even still, I don't own one. Just put on a good rain jacket. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let's keep going. So Sitka, Alaska, we have a population of about 8,500 year-round people. This trail you see right here, this is the Harbor Mountain Trail, and these two ladies had reached one of the beautiful overviews areas of the Harbor Mountain Trail. Down below, you can actually see Sitka and the airport, which is located on the island next to us. And in the distance, you see our volcano, which is Mount Edgecumbe. Actually, the island where Mount Edgecumbe lives has a volcano field. There are actually 6 volcanoes located on that island. Mount Edgecumbe is the one that we see all the time, and it's beautiful. When it's got snow on it, it looks like Mount Fuji. It's a classic looking volcano. And it's something that is very important to the Tlingit people, because the Tlingit people's oral tradition shares that they arrived in Sitka and they found Sitka because they followed the sparks from the volcano. And the last time the volcano actually erupted was about 10,000 years ago. So we know from that oral history that the Tlingit people have been here for at least 10,000 years, which is amazing. We also have all 5 species of salmon. And have you done the how to do salmon?
We haven't.
Oh.
No. We'll have to yeah, go ahead.
There are 5 species of salmon. And this is how kids in Alaska learn about the 5 species of salmon. That each species is one of your fingers. So your thumb is the chum salmon. Your pointer finger is the sockeye, poke you in the eye. So chum, sockeye. Your big finger is the king. Your ring finger is silver because you wear your silver ring on this finger. And then your little finger is the pinky, pink salmon. So we've got, you're going to see, hopefully I get it right. So we've got chum, sockeye, king, silver, and pink. Those are the 5 species of salmon.
That is some trivia for you to whip out at the dinner table this evening or at the bar. Or if you come to Alaska, there are trivia nights. And, I think most Alaskans know it, but we still have to think about it because it's sort of a little, it's like a physical mnemonic to help us all remember. That's a good one. Thank you.
Well, and here's another little piece of trivia. Did you know that if you hold your hand up, is it going to show up right? Boop, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. That's Alaska.
There's Alaska. Boom. Right there.
Michigan, we got you.
There's Southeast Alaska, Anchorage, Fairbanks, Ukviavik. Yep. There's Alaska. So a lot of times when I'm talking to people about different parts of Alaska, you just pull your hand out and start pointing at it.
Yeah, that's actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah, Alaskans we're an interesting breed.
That's true.
So all 5 species of salmon visit us here. The city and borough of Sitka encompasses, as you can see, over 4,700 square miles. So Sitka is the largest city in the United States. It's another piece of trivia you'll get. People saying, oh, Los Angeles. Oh, no, not by population. What is the largest city in the United States by landmass? And that would be us. All right, just a little quick overview of Sitka. And we'll go on to what kinds of things are happening in Sitka. So, being on the open ocean, we are a mecca for fishing. So, freshwater and saltwater, we have on the ocean. In the saltwater, you've got salmon, which the girl on your left is holding. We've got halibut, which the man on the right is holding. And then there's all other kinds of species that you can fish for. As we have been coming out of COVID, as with every place in the world, there were some businesses that did not make it through COVID. But we have other businesses that people are finding their passion and being like, you know what? This is what I want to be doing with my life. I get it better. So we have more and more charter fishing operators that have been opening up. That's a new thing for 2023. We have new charter fishing operators, and some of them have been developing their own lodges or their own places that you can stay. We have one gentleman who has purchased a home, and he is going to be running a bed and breakfast as part of his charter fishing operation. So coming to Sitka and booking a fishing trip is an excellent way to spend your time while you're here in town. As you can see, we also have freshwater fishing, so fly fishing. There's lots of different locations around. Most of our fly fishing locations are either hike-in or fly-in. And for all of these, there are people in town who can rent you the equipment you need. Something that's new that's come out of COVID is we do have a couple companies in town that are now offering full outfitting packages. So you can come up, if you're a fly fisherman, now I know you're a fly fisherman, you bring your own rod and reel. That's completely understandable. That's what you do. But everything else you need, you can rent here locally. Sorry, I've got a dry spot. So also for backcountry camping, or if you want to spend some time in a Forest Service cabin, or you want to camp at the edge of a lake and do your fishing, you can rent an entire package of all the equipment you need. And they'll even set you up with the kind of food you need with bear-proof containers. And this is something new that has happened since COVID, because since COVID, we're finding more and more people want to just get out into the wilderness. They want to spend time out away from town. And so we have new companies that are helping people to do that, getting them what they need to be able to have that experience. And even if you are looking just to camp, we have some great campsites here. There's, like I said, Forest Service cabins. If that's more your style and you don't want to bring your own tent and you just want to come up and rent everything for that, you can now do that here in Sitka.
Awesome.
Let's keep going. So attractions, the Sitka has so many things to do. From no matter what your ability is, no matter what your interest is, you're going to find something to do in Sitka. We have, as Valerie mentioned, the native culture. Throughout the summer, there is native carvers and artisans who work at the Sitka National Historical Park. So the Sitka National Historical Park is kind of hard to say. So locals just call it Totem Park. So I'll use that term. At Totem Park, there is a native carver, and you see him here in this photo, Tommy Joseph. He's a world-renowned native carver who works on his craft throughout the course of the summer. You can watch him work. You can ask him questions. You can actually pick up cedar shavings from when he's working and take some cedar shavings home. And there's also silversmiths and skin sewers and all different kinds of artists that show off their crafts throughout the summer. Totem Park is a really unique place. And when people say, if there's something to not miss when I come to Sitka, what is it? And we always suggest the Sitka National Historical Park. It is one of the smallest national parks in the national park system. So it is part of the national park system, and you can get your passport book stamped there if you're into the national park passport books. But there's a 1 mile fully accessible gravel loop that is actually located on the site of the Battle of 1804 between the invading Russians and the local Tlingit people. It's a sacred area for the local Tlingit people, but it's also a part of their history that they want to share with the world. So you walk on this beautiful trail, and there are totems along the way and some interpretive signage. For those of you who have read Michener's Alaska, you'll know that he does this really amazing job of exploring that battle. And he actually lived in Sitka while he was writing part of that book. So the first time I walked into the Totem Park, I had read the book, and I was just like, wow, this is where that happened. There's not a lot of places, I think, that you can visit where you can be like, oh my gosh, this is where that happened. And so definitely not something to miss. There is a river that runs through the middle of the little park called Indian River. And if you're lucky enough to be here at a certain time of the summer, you will see it'll be packed with spawning salmon. So that river is protected because it's spawning grounds. That is one of the places that I would definitely not miss when you come to visit. We also have 2 world-renowned animal rehabilitation centers. So the Fortress of the Bear is a place where orphaned bear cubs can come and be rehabilitated. Unfortunately, due to Alaska law, you cannot release bears into the wild. But if a bear does come, and they do their very best to rehome it, and their cubs have been rehomed all across the lower 48 in zoos and habitats so that they can continue to live their bear lives. You can visit them all summer long, and it's really informative. They have black bears and brown bears in a habitat situation that makes it really easy for you to see them and to get actually kind of close to them, because they've done a big, huge renovation of the facility where there are now huge glass windows at ground level. There's also the Alaska Raptor Center, and the Raptor Center takes in injured birds, not just eagles, but raptors, injured birds of all types. And it's a hospital, so they will rehabilitate the birds, heal them up really nicely, and then they will be released back into the wild. They do have some resident birds that are unable due to their injuries to go back into the wild. And so those are the birds that you get to visit with. Both of those rehab centers, we're very proud of the work that they do, and they're definitely an excellent way for you to learn about those particular animals that we live with here. Now, yes, we do have wild birds, we have wild eagles. To be honest with you, I don't even notice them anymore because they are just everywhere here. And we do have bears that come in closer to town. But the community works really hard at keeping our garbage contained and doing everything we need to do so that the bears can remain wild. So if you are on our trail system, you do need to do what you do to let the bears know that you're there. Make noise, don't creep around. And if you do come across a bear, you need to follow the protocol that you need to do but you're not going to find a bear walking down the middle of our main street. That's just not going to happen. But I do want to make people aware that we are in the home of the brown bear. So just to be aware that they're out there. That picture on the top there with the whale tails, that's Mount Edgecombe when it's got its white crown on. So you can see it's beautiful. The other thing about Mount Edgecombe, you can hike Mount Edgecombe. There's a trail. You can take a water taxi out to Cruise Off Island, which is that island we're talking about, and you can hike up the mountain. It is not something that you plan on doing in a very short period of time. So if you're going to do some hiking, especially on Cruise Off Island, you need to come and plan for a couple of days. One of the really cool things is our fire department does loan radios. So it's VHF radios, I believe, to people who are hiking into the backcountry and want to stay in communication. So you can go and check those out and take it with you so that if you have problems or questions or something happens, you can be in contact with our emergency services department while you're in the backcountry in this whole area here in Sitka. Lots of other things you can do on the water, kayaking, paddleboarding. If you're a paddleboarder and you have one of those blow-up paddle boards, you can just check that as a piece of luggage and bring it with you. Same thing with bikes. I don't know if you know this, but you can check your bicycle on Alaska Airlines, at least. I don't know about Delta, but on Alaska Airlines, you can check your bicycle as a piece of luggage, and you can take it with you when you travel in Alaska. So if you're an avid biker, we've got bike trails here, and you can even bike around town because our downtown core is so compact. We do have new bike trails that you can use here, mountain bike trails. We also have a new, I'm not hip to this, but it's called a pump track. And it is for people who are into biking that way. It's got like mounds and you can, so if you're into that, we do have a brand new pump track here. We do a skateboard park. So if you're traveling with your kids or you love to skateboard park. And if you come into town and you're into biking, we also have a couple of different companies in town, new now, who have e-bikes, and they can rent you e-bikes, regular, cruiser bikes or mountain bikes. So all of those things have really, going through COVID, a lot of people really got into biking, and it's been really great to see that develop here in town. So we have a new company who's renting e-bikes, and you can actually rent those either at the cruise ship terminal or downtown, whatever way you want to do it.
Remind me how long the road is from end to end on the island.
So we have 14 miles of road. So the downtown core is situated right in the middle, and then we go 7 miles north and 7 miles south. Of course, there's lots of little community roads that come off, but the main road system is 14 miles long.
Which is perfect for a nice ride.
Perfect for riding a bike. Yep. There is a trail that goes, so on the southern end of the road system, there's a bike trail that goes all the way out to the end of the road system. Going north, the bike trail goes out probably about 2 miles, and then you end up on the side of the road, but you can still bike, and people do it a lot. Sitka's a real biking town. Even year-round, you see people commuting and moving around town on bicycles, which is, I think, really cool.
Cool.
All right, let's keep going. So the great thing about Sitka is it's about exploring. We have so many different things you can do. I already said that. But, hiking, native culture, that the photo in the middle and the center there is a woman on Totem Trail. Lots of great eateries. A lot of our chefs here in town use local ingredients. Obviously local seafood, but there's also local mushrooms and things, seaweed and kelp, and so berries, of course, berries. So you'll find that our local chefs use our local ingredients everywhere across their menus, which is really great. We have lots of great restaurants, lots of great places to shop, and really cool and different places to stay. So up in the on the top there towards the right, that's the Sitka Lighthouse. You can rent the lighthouse to stay there. There are all different kinds of places you can stay, or like the guy on the lower right, you just can rent a tent and go hang out in the backcountry. So rather than just try to do like a where to stay, a where to eat, a where to shop type, I thought I would just kind of throw this all out there, and then we can talk about some of the things that people might be interested in seeing or doing and what might be new.
Amazing.
What's that?
I think it's okay. Oh, you have a video. We have to watch the video.
We have a video. So,
okay.
All right, take it away, video.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with Sitka. I am. Every time I see it, I mean, I have my own photos and I have my own videos, and every time I see more of it, I'm like, that's the place in Alaska. If I were gonna, people ask me a lot because I write about it. If I were gonna move back, where would it be? It's Sitka. There's just something very magical there, and it's hard to express. Even the video does a great job, but what I think is special about Sitka is that you get so close to things. I don't know how to describe it any other way. You can see native carving happening where you're literally able to pick up the wood chips, and you can see the bears as close as is safe to be. You can see the raptor birds, and they are, you know, the birds that they have for public viewing are quite used to humans. So you can get a lot closer. You can, I mean, the one that I love is my first visit to Sitka as an adult was we went to Beak Restaurant, who you were talking about chefs doing local ingredients. You must plan ahead if you're there on a Sunday and get one of their spruce tip donuts. must do. But we show up there, and John Straley, who's a local author, who's, internationally known author, he's there with his jam band playing. And it's like, what town do you go to where you have all this stuff that close? I just love it.
Yeah. And, definitely if you're there on a Sunday, you can just, there you go. If you're in town on a Sunday, plan on going to Beak. She does fresh donuts. The spruce tip donuts are awesome. She does all different kinds using local ingredients. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing, is just that experience of, excuse me, just it's that living like a local experience, right? It's great if you're coming up on a cruise ship and you're going to spend a day. I would definitely choose that thing you want to do that is your passion. If you're into kayaking, if you're into hiking, if you're into, or, if you're into shopping, we have lots of makers here in town. We have 2 chocolatiers. We have this Alaska Pure Sea Salt, the sea salt company.
We love them.
We have a lady in town who makes jams and jellies, but she's also started making kelp pickles. And so if you're into pickles, that's something you don't want to miss. We have lots of we have bread makers, and besides the artisans, painters and silversmiths and carvers. And Sitka is a very artsy town. People love to make things using their hands. And I think that it just goes back to, generations of living on an island, having to be resourceful, and not, we still live on the barge system. So the barge comes in twice a week. And so we know that on Mondays and Thursdays is when you're going to get groceries. If you try to go buy a gallon of milk on a Sunday night, good possibility there's no milk. Sometimes there's no tomatoes. Sometimes there's no, yeah. So, and I think we've all been living through an egg shortage right now. And so we still live that way. We still live kind of on these rhythms of the ocean, the rhythm of commerce, and the rhythm of our own lives. And I think this is a worldwide experience, but when COVID happened, we really learned what kind of community we were. People were just so great about supporting each other, and we still have our 2 grocery stores still do shopping and food delivery. So if you come into town, you rent a vacation rental, you can order your food, have it delivered to your vacation rental, save that shopping time. Most of our restaurants are still doing delivery and takeout. And so you can definitely have that live like a local experience when you're here. Now, we have all different kinds of places to stay. We've got some new experiences. We've got a company called Bumble Expeditions. And what they're doing is they're doing half-day tours where they will actually take you on a really fabulous boat. There's a 4-adult, I think it's, I'm looking here, 4-adult minimum, but they will take you out to a private island where you'll spend a half a day, and it'll include lunch, and you can just get away from it all, just you and your friends and family. They also have a separate experience. This is a brand new company that literally is just starting up this summer, who wants to really get away and have the place to themselves. You can have a totally private island experience. We have another company called Bear Paw. I think it's Bear Paw Adventures, and they're a luxury yacht that you can rent for the day. Awesome. Or up to 7 days. And it's an all-inclusive experience. So if you want to come into town and you're just here for the day, and all you want to do is be pampered and taken out to find whales and birds and wildlife and that kind of experience, they are here ready for you to take you on that kind of experience. So that's just two of the new companies we have in town this summer. More and more people are kind of coming online and trying to find ways to show people what it's like to really be here in Alaska and in Sitka specifically. For those of you who are coming for multiple days, there's however you want to stay here, you can. You want to camp, you want to have a private island, and everything in between. There are lots of different vacation rentals. Of course, if you just want to do the hotel experience, we've got multiple hotels in town that have restaurants and bars, and the classic hotel experience. A little bit larger hotels, boutique hotels, more budget friendly type hotels. There's bed and breakfasts. I mean, really, it runs the gamut. Another thing we do have here is we have RV parks. Now, you can't rent an RV in Sitka, but if you're an RVer and you're coming through on the marine highway system, we have a couple of actually 3 options for you. You can park your RV at the golf course. Yes, we have a 9-hole golf course, which is pretty awesome. It's actually built into the side of the mountain. So when you can come and you can rent your clubs. Your greens fees include the cart and some water. I promise you don't want to walk this course. It's like adventure golfing. But you could say you've golfed in Alaska, right? If you're a golfer. If you're coming off the cruise ship, they do have a day package. So you can come off the ship and have everything ready. I believe they'll come pick you up, bring you to the golf course. They also have, of course, a clubhouse. Every golf course has to have a clubhouse. So you can park your RV at the golf course. There is an RV park. And then we also have the campground that is a federal campground. Yes. Managed by the Forest Service. So whatever you want to have that experience as well. Wow. I keep talking.
I know. All right. Well, we have a couple questions. So let's go jump into those. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. Not that we don't want to look at pictures of Sitka because it's beautiful, but let's do some questions. So here's one, and I don't know exactly how long Matt is planning to visit Sitka, so maybe the answer depends on how long you're staying, but do you need a car? And can you even rent one in Sitka?
Good question. Yes, a car is not necessary. So it just depends on how long you're staying and what kinds of things you're looking at doing. Yes, we have a couple car rental agencies here in Sitka. Avis is here. So definitely you can rent a car through Avis, and there's another local company. We also have people who are doing Turo. So you can Turo a car here in town. We do have public bus system that goes all the way to the end of the south end of the road, but it goes only north end of the road 7 miles. It goes about 6 miles to the to the ferry terminal. So there is a public bus system. Now, the public bus system is really meant for locals. You can ride it, of course. So right now, it only runs Monday through Friday. It doesn't run on the weekends. So a car isn't necessary. It just depends on your needs. So if you have a vacation rental that's 5 miles out the road, or you have people who have some mobility challenges, then you might want to rent a car. So Matt, it really depends on how long you're staying and what your needs are, but you can do Sitka without a car if you want to.
Cool. Yeah, I can attest that the public bus system works if you are familiar with using public transit and you are flexible to the schedule of the buses. Jacob and I, we took the buses to go out hiking when we were here, and we were so annoyed because we missed our return bus by just 2 minutes. But then we just had to go sit at Whale Park, which is, how far is Whale Park? About 5 miles down the south road. and
Yeah.
just sat and, watched the boats go by and read a couple books we bought at the bookshop. And we had an extra hour just out in the wild enjoying that scenery and that solitude. It was wonderful. So don't need a car, might want a car, kind of have to do a little bit of research to see what other activities you want to do. Okay, here's another one. This one comes from Carrie. So I'm guessing from this question that she's coming in by cruise ship, but doesn't want to do one of the like organized tours. So can you just get off and walk around? What is there to do?
So the cruise ship terminal is 5 miles north of downtown. The terminal itself is really nice. There's an excellent restaurant there. There's a couple of different shops. So you can, and I will say that the shops that are out at the cruise ship terminal are satellite stores of bigger shops downtown. And that was a conscious choice by the people who run the cruise ship terminal, because all of the shops are locally owned and operated, and the majority of them already have flagship stores. I call them flagship stores. They're not that big.
Flagship by Sitka standards.
Yeah, by Sitka standards. Downtown. So you can spend a little bit of time just checking out what's happening at the cruise ship terminal. And there's a free shuttle that will bring you into downtown. It takes 10 minutes to get into downtown, 12 minutes if you hit both of our stoplights red. And then you'll get dropped off in the core of downtown, and down at the shuttle drop-off area, there are tour operators who are able to shuttle you out to the Fortress of the Bear or to the Raptor Center, who will take you out on wildlife cruises. So if you choose not to do an excursion off of the ship, you can come in town and find someone who can help you figure out what you want to do for the day. Or you can just pick up one of our downtown maps when you're down at the cruise ship terminal and just kind of self-guide yourself around town. The core of, downtown, literally from one end to the other, is a mile. So it's not large. And if you want to just walk it all, you can. You can just do like a self-guided walking tour of downtown as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, here's another. Actually, I have 2 questions that are kind of related. So Ashley's curious what there is to do in winter as a tourist, as a visitor.
I will say that winter here, because our weather is so mild, we don't really get snow that stays down on the ground. Snow is up on the mountaintops, but we get more rain down here. So locals still do a lot of hiking in the winter. You can do the lower elevations where there's really not much snow, but then you can climb higher, and people go snowshoeing. They pack up their snowboards. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can definitely do that. People also go snowshoeing and sledding at the golf course. Remember I said it's built into the side of a mountain. So snowshoeing and sledding out at the golf course. There are some crazy people who do winter golfing with like fluorescent ball. Not my gig, but there is our downtown. Our stores stay open year round, so you can still access all of that amazing maker experience. We have the other thing though is the winter is when our community really ramps up as a community. So if you come here in the winter, you're going to be able to, there's so many things, concerts and plays and events. And it seems like every weekend something is happening here in town that the locals are doing. I think it helps us to not go crazy, stir crazy, because we're on an island and the weather. Okay, the thing about winter, yes, we get darkness, but I will say, our darkest day, it gets light at about 9 in the morning, and then it gets dark at about 3 in the afternoon. That's really in December at our darkest time. What I say to people is, now, if you live down south, I'll say that, if you live in the lower 48 and you work in an office without windows, at the mall, or in a big warehouse, when you go to work in the morning, it's probably dark. And when you leave at night, it's probably dark. So this is not much of a different experience than those people. When I used to live I used to work in a mall. Literally, I'd go in at 7:30 in the morning and it was dark. I could leave at 5 o'clock at night. It was dark. So, but though you do have to plan for the darkness, it will be darker earlier and later than you expect. So
that's a good lead into the last question that I have for you today, which is, can you see the Northern Lights?
Yes, but I would not bank on it. So yes, we can see Northern Lights here. Yes, we do get them here. Though keeping in mind, we are geographically pretty far south and we do see Northern Lights. We are in a rainforest, so we are overcast a lot. And if you're truly looking for a Northern Lights experience, I recommend that people go farther north. Fairbanks and north is the best place if you really, really want to see Northern Lights. There are places up there that really cater to that kind of experience, and you can, they don't guarantee it. Of course, you can't guarantee anything in nature, but I would not come, being honest, I would not come to Sitka expecting to see Northern Lights. Like I said, It's been raining for 2 weeks. They were probably up there this whole time, right? But it's been overcast for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we can't be sure when we're going to see it.
So clear skies and aurora viewing is a cherry on top of your Sitka visit.
Oh my gosh, yes. For even Sitkans, we're all like, whoa, we go running outside. And, I was out earlier, I think it was maybe November. My partner just happened to get up and go to the bathroom at like 3 o'clock in the morning and looked outside and was like, wake up!
That's your aurora wake up call.
Yeah. And we went out for like 2 hours and just sat in the car and drove to a spot where we could see them. And it was so cool, but it was a huge treat for us because it's not something we normally get to experience.
Got it. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and share all of what people need to know and then what's new for this year in Sitka. And I'm sold again on making a return trip. Now I'm in my head trying to figure out how it's going to happen this year.
How you're going to get back.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I would like to share with your people that we are going to be attending some shows coming up. So you'll be able to find Sitka at the Travel and Adventure shows in Los Angeles, in Dallas, and in Denver. And if you are attending one of those shows and you would like to get a code for a free admission, you can email us and we can get you that code when we get it. So I can give you, I don't know, should I just give them an email address or what's the best way to do that?
I'll connect with you and we'll get it in that show description so that when people are watching, they can just scroll down and find it and copy paste it into their own email.
Perfect. The other thing is we are also going to be doing 2 Holland America shows. Now, if you are a Holland America cruiser in Seattle and in Vancouver, Holland America is going to be hosting 2 cruise shows. So you would be able to contact Holland America and find out about those shows. And they're one-day shows where you just come and learn about cruising Alaska. And we're going to be attending those 2 shows as well. So I wish I had more information about how you find out about that. But if you're really into that, contact Holland America. I can maybe find out for you, Valerie, and we can share that with your listeners or viewers. And so those are the shows that we're going to be attending coming up soon.
Awesome. So I also just found that very briefly by Googling, and I will put the link to that in the description as well. That's incredible. I didn't know they did that. It's a really fun way to get people excited about visiting Alaska. And hopefully, I'm sure, cruising with Holland America, which does visit Sitka.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me. For you, Laurie, spending your time, and then for everyone who's watching either live or during the replay. Again, if you have any questions, just scroll down and put them in the comments below. I get notifications so I can come in just like I do on my blog and make sure that your questions get answered. If you liked this video and you are excited to visit Sitka, go ahead and give it a like. That's really important for the YouTube algorithm. It just helps make sure that other Alaska travelers can find my videos more easily in the way that the YouTube world works. And then if you like this video, the idea of this video, or visiting Alaska, and you want more of that in your life, make sure you subscribe to my channel, because this is the kickoff for my 2023 Alaska videos. I have so much I'm going to be sharing, and I'm very excited to do this series, to have it again next year, and have a whole bunch of videos in between. So again, Laurie, thank you. And thank all of you for joining me. And we'll be back soon with a new destination.
Thanks. See you.